like to thank Tree for having us here. It's a pleasure and an honor to read to a group that I used to lead around. It's really great. Song in my heart. Darkness sang matins on the wrong side of day. Clouds drunk on starlight threw their icy offering high. Something of myself was mirrored in her shining brown face. Leaf-lorn branches sighed an obad for the nimbus and wind. Winter came to grief over two identical snowflakes. She trilled a weeping caliatura, filling the cave with doubt. The fusion of love and lust will endlessly echo its name. The specter of her absence dimmed the lambent sands. Her terrorist love exploded at the impossible speed of rainbows. The oasis and her breeze-rippled veils were real, then not. A single solitude multiplied by an irrational longing is never-ending. Hymns rolled over bones that loved the flesh they'd worn. River run, awakening down, tributaries lacing nerve-like into the flux. Radiant flashing through rapids, relentless, eyes dilated, the roar is earth, gravity, something of the water, but not the water, no, the river is not the water. As I am not this bone rack, wrenched or racked into wretched pose, and shot or hung or cut, no, the river is craving for the sea. But I refuse the river. It runs voluted raceway chiming, chaining every last vein-feathered thing to the dead weight of despair. The roar subsides, the vision fades, and I'm here, knowing neither prayer nor fortitude can save me. Death is as it is, one blind shot across the phantom fractal branches, gathered, gleaming as the river sabers through its bounded hours, targeting the strand where I am, fallen, eyes on the somnolent sea, seeing nothing but. About 10 years ago, Chris Jennings, sitting over there, gave a talk at Tree, and he was talking about the sonnet. He said, if you're going to write a sonnet, then you've decided to take on aboard all of the history of the thing, all the people who have written sonnets and so on. Well, in the hope that that's true, Sonnet for Rainbows. Then we looked him in the eye and knew what we had done. Then the sun skipped town and it rained for 40 nights. Then the river rose and we wailed, how high's the water, Mama? Then she yodeled back, it's 5 feet high and we had to tread water. Then she told us to make things right and confess what we had done. Then the flood crested and was looking good against our glaring fault. Then we produced a sitcom about it and cast him in the title role. Then we begged his forgiveness for all the commercials and were denied. Then we knew he's one tough cookie and drowned our sorrows in milk. Then our sorrows ran amok and everyone wondered about everyone else. Then we were locked in confrontation and were unhappy for 40 days. Then we asked him to smite our enemies and he refused. Then we saw he wouldn't play favorites and united in rebellion against him. Then he refracted to make rainbows and we had to love him for that. The next two poems are from a short series in which emphasis on wordplay far surpasses any effort at sustaining a narrative. People who've read them seem either to love them or hate them. The latter group's reaction has often risen actually to anger, which indicated that I might be onto something because the poems really pissed them off, as if they were Vogon poems. Vogon poetry, of course, is the third worst in the universe. The second worst is that of the Osgoths of Krea. During a recitation by their poet master, Grundhost the Flatulent, 4 of his audience died of internal hemorrhaging, and the president of the Mid-Galactic Arts Nobbling Council survived only by gnawing off one of his own legs. From the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Vision 4. Time-worn, the shuddering, frameful edges graveward, brow down, the dull dominion warps to songwrite, dirging along the rumbling long pipes, resonating earthward. A headrock overcasts the wakeful wanting. Will the spirit coil-free loose the fleshling bone tree? Then is it heartful? Is it causeless? Is it greenling? Will come the always answer, an exactitude faith-keeping, the glistening runs bright shining to its fall. Vision 5. Waterward his crossing trailed the sandprints. Wood-filled glist the hem-stitch tattering robe, and hours day passed, and coiled arose another. Dervish did, and mind-lost went the way. The seaboard lay lap-tongued, and there some song plashed. Hallelujah's forthright aimed up yearning tread one. Back the other breaks the dune lock. Then the new sung, bound against the faltering ardent spray. Grunthos was reported to have been disappointed by the poem's reception and was about to embark on a reading of his own 12-book epic entitled My Favorite Bath Time Gurgles, when his own major intestine, in a desperate attempt to save life itself, leapt straight up through his neck and throttled his brain. Too much inside this world. Too much inside this world, and cannot run the blood rush rapids, one oar beating down to the gaping bay. Wave riding far and ever wider, easing always out, the time-free nowhere all song eagers toward a verbaling birth. The salted, mothering sea, a trace of red. Snap back to the weathering shore, granite beyond which blood would curl and twist in rings, if not stonewalled in this world, if speak, if cannot sing. Tijon. Le Casino d'Al and its bandit calliope carnival lights drain into the usual rusted-out dream, dying stars emballed in Labatt-Batten clouds, au-dessus la route du Carrefour, par le chemin du barrage, past the stone surging up from the ditches like anger. His last cigarette pack, John Player's, as empty as pockets, spins out of the window. His F-150 98 in bad shape gets him home, then rattles its last. Grey morning, pis mal aux cheveux. He trudges barrage, thumb out in laced season, rough breath. Fallen wild grains only thicken the mud. An empty pack history decays, blue flowers decomposing in ditches, and a fear lurks behind a craving. Outcells multiply in the dark clouds of his lungs, beneath the brooding rock face, moss hair, and fern locks. J'accuse, Tijon, j'accuse. Je sais, pis, je fume, sti. Ben, je n'ai rien de plus. Fuck you. Muttering like gravel under work boots. The smokes made him dizzy at 13. Collar rising to a sneer curled in a mirror, he still swaggered au chiot to puke pommes frites au Sevec into a porcelain chalice. And now, 52, and woozy without them, his head floats in some vacant blue ether. He can't breathe. Thank you.